Good evening, everybody. I'm Scott Propiak. I'm the executive director here at the Burchfield Penney, and it's great to have all of you here tonight. Now that every one of our panelists has found their place in the front. The Voices of Vision program that we've been presenting at the Burchfield Penney with the Buffalo News has been designed around the idea that we all want to see our community succeed, and part of that is encouraging and supporting future leaders in our community and making sure that they have the tools and the support to grow, to build this community into the future. And one of the things that's been apparent to me in our conversations is that it's not just about the future leaders, and it's not the voices of vision. The vision isn't a bunch of old dudes like saying, this is what you should be thinking and doing, but it's important when we talk about leadership in our community and when we talk about what the future will be, that we're not doing it in our silos. We're not doing it just in the arts. We're not doing it in finance. We're not doing it in development. We're not doing it in startups. That really, one of the crucial things that we need to achieve as we look to the future in the success of the community that we all believe so much in is actually recognizing that it's an ecosystem and that we all grow and benefit from the way that we're creative together, the way that we build together, and the way that we create opportunity together. Because Buffalo, there are a lot of cities the size of Buffalo, and you know, we are so close to it that we might be blinded by our love for this place. And also we may be informed by the rightful critiques we have of this place. But honestly, if we want to be better, and we want to be better than the cities that are like Buffalo, then we need to be holistic in our approach. We need to bring everybody to the table, and we need to look at the future, and we need to lead into the future with those voices. So the voices are not it's not my voice, it's not the other speakers' voices that have come before us, it's all of those voices coming together and doing great work and supporting each other as we all grow. We have an incredible panel tonight, and I'm gonna invite them up now, leading with Julia Norris, my incredible coworker, and I'm looking forward to a great conversation tonight. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, y'all get our own little couch. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I'm really grateful to be here. We couldn't have a more wonderful group of people to have this conversation with. And they hardly need any introduction, but since it's the done thing, here goes. Next to me, we have Alexa Joan Wajed. She's an entrepreneur, a visual artist, a trained chef who is trained in multiple countries. She's a jewelry designer, and if you're lucky and head to the museum store after this, you might be able to snag a few of her pieces in there. She's also a curator and the co-founder and chief strategy and operations officer of Eat Off Art.
Thank you.
She is socially engaged through multiple nonprofit organizations, including her own, called True Inc., which makes art accessible as a healing practice for everybody. So thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
In the middle, we have Aitina Fareed-Cooke, creative arts strategist, entrepreneur, speaker, educator, national recording artist, Buffalo's poet laureate. Your answers tonight are not required to rhyme, but I'm sure that you could do it. Award-winning photographer and founder of Get Fokus'd Productions and the creator of Tales from the Porch. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you, thank you.
And holding it down on the end, we have Chad Williams, Brooklyn-born, Buffalo-based creative entrepreneur. Little moment for the Brooklyn Knights. He is one of the co-founders of Buffalo Fashion Runway, which is a movement that has just been taking Buffalo by storm and beyond. They blend fashion, entrepreneurship, and community, and he is also the creator of his own streetwear brand, dooProcess, that blends fashion with activism. Nice. Although Chad is the youngest person up on the stage tonight, his list of accolades is so long. I don't know if I can tell you all of them, but he's involved with the Urban League Young Professionals. He serves on the board of BOFLV. He was Buffalo Business First, one of their 5 under 25, and then one of their 30 under 30. One of Forbes' Next 1,000. He's a part of the Karen Lee Spalding Oshai Leaders of Color Fellowship, and he took first place in the New York State business plan competition, which he shared was a really important moment for him, and I'm sure we're going to hear more about that later on. Woo! Thank you all for being here tonight. That's right. And I'm Julia Norris. I'm the Director of Communications here at the Burchfield Penney Art Center, which is just the dreamiest dream job, and I'm delighted to be here with you tonight. So what about you? Who do we have here in the audience? Do we have any artists and creatives out there? Give a little woo! Oh my goodness. Okay, so maybe we're preaching to the choir tonight. How about anybody from the tech world? Any startup people, tech people out there? 1 right here. 2.
All right,
okay.
all right.
How about miscellaneous? Any miscellaneous?
All of the above. Everything else.
Education, yes.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. That is wonderful. The goal of this series is really to bring people from different industries together, and so we really appreciate you being here tonight. Okay, let's get into it. We've got about 4 questions that we're going to hear from each of the panelists on, and we're going to start things off with Aitina. And we'll, of course, then hear from each of the panelists. But I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about the origins of your creative enterprise. Each of you has a really multidisciplinary approach. How do you decide what to hone in on and where to start?
So it all started in 1886. Good year, good year. No, seriously though, it started, I want to say that this love for storytelling started when I was about 6 or 7. I was in foster care, and I was, believe it or not, I was a knucklehead, and I got into a lot of trouble, and that's because I wasn't sure how to express my emotions. Mm-hmm. And so I had to go to counseling, and one of the counselors gave me a pen, told me to write it out, and I think there is where I found safety and a safe haven within that space to write. And I expressed my pain through storytelling. And so I was able to hide behind the characters and the lines and hide behind the metaphors, the similes, and that grew and, blossomed into poetry and, fell in love with hip hop and learned about the creative trades through photography and video and started to develop a voice in that space. And I just never let go. And I think that it has a lot to do with community and the funding that is given to community-based organizations to support what those organizations believe is important. So they invested in me, and I haven't stopped since. You had a second part of that question.
Let me consult my notes. Yeah, how do you decide where to start? Because there's so many different aspects of your creative practice. Do you choose just one thing to begin with, or do you know from the start that you're going to bring all of these elements to the table?
I start with my humanity. That's where I start. I start with the truth. I start with the reflection of life. My art is an extension of self to some degree. And then from there, because I shouldn't say I dip and dabble, I live within many different art forms, whether it be theater, whether it be dance, whether it be whatever that is, I'm pulling on those sources and I'm finding ways to utilize it. Now, I don't dance anymore. Maybe at home where y'all can't see me. But I dance with words, I dance with lyrics, I dance with creating curriculums for young people. I just try to find ways to utilize different art forms. To me, art is a language and every medium is a different dialect. And it's all about how one expresses that one to another.
Thank you. How about you, Alexa? You also have so many different aspects to your creativity. How did you get started, and how did you hone in on what you wanted to begin with?
Well, I think myself, I have multiple origin stories, but specifically with Eat Off Art, which was the kind of coming out for me as an artist, is that we finally decided to stop playing around and literally merge our talents. I'm a chef, I'm an artist, Idris is an artist and a lyricist, so we have to eat off of our art. And it's always been a scary thing. It's always been, well, what about insurance? What about a paycheck? And then it finally came to the point where like, the only way we can do this and be satisfied is by doing this ourselves and betting on ourselves. And I know that's a tough thing to do. It's not something we did overnight. This was 30 years in the making. You know, we started out with a retail business. We, shut that down. We were raising kids. We were doing other entrepreneurial things. But in 2018, 2020, we kind of were like, we have to do this for ourselves. And it's so important to do that. I was able to allow myself to name myself as an artist, which for me was a very big thing because Idris has always been the artist. Oh, you want art? Oh, there's Idris. So for me to receive an email that says, hey, would you like to exhibit? And I'm like, well, are you sure this isn't for Idris? And they're like, no, it's for you. That was something that really, brought me to life. And as far as my art practice, because I've been in the corporate world, because I am a people pleaser and I have never really been able to understand who I am and really truly feel all of my feelings at once, my art has been a meditation. And it's kind of been a repose for me to just go in and zen zone, whatever you want to call it, everything else out, and just draw lines, connect with them, and create something that I would have never imagined that I could have possibly done. And yes, there are lots of different forms, but you just have to go with what you feel. You have to go with the moment. You have to go with your heart and allow yourself grace to move through everything that you do and not feel guilty about it.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you mentioned the fact that this was a 30-year journey, because I think sometimes we expect to have one pivotal moment that sparks something for us, but really it's this multitude of tiny moments that build into something bigger.
You need those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you down there, Chad. How about you? How's it going? So tell us your origin story. How did you get started?
Yes, first I just want to say that I'm beyond blessed to be on this stage with these grades. This is a beautiful moment. But yeah, also want to preface, God did not bless me with the gift of gab with public speaking. So please give me some grace today. Appreciate you guys.
I beg to disagree.
Right.
But my origin story, I would say I didn't choose it, but it chose me. Also, please don't mind me if I look down on my phone for a little bit. I did write different notes and whatnot, so again, grace. But I didn't choose it, it chose me, right? So as Julia said, I am originally from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised in the Flatbush and Crown Heights area of Brooklyn. My dad's side of the family was on Crown Heights, and then my mom's side of the family was in Flatbush. They were separated when I was younger, so I spent primarily of my time with my mom on the Flatbush side of Brooklyn. Growing up, we'd always just find different ways to hustle, right? My mom, she was primarily raising us by herself, so we would just find different ways to help aid and bring something into the household, right? So she would take me and my older brother Carl to bargain hunters in Brownsville, Brooklyn, on Pickens Avenue to buy a 30 variety pack of candy. And the variety pack came multicolored Skittles, Starburst, and some chocolate, right? And she didn't buy it for us to eat, right? She bought it for us to sell, right? So we'd take these candy boxes and we'd bring them to school. Started in elementary school, went all the way up to high school, but we'd take these boxes of candy and we'd sell them. And I think it was 30 in the pack. I think the pack was around $14.53. We used to sell each candy item for $1. So we used to make double the profit. Well, we used to make $15 more, right? With all of these singles just coming in, we feel like we had the most money in the world, right? So like, we sell one box and we'd be like, Mommy, when are we going again? When are we going to Bargain Hunters? I want to get another box of candy, right? So that's initially how it started, right? It progressed as I went through middle school and high school. I updated the menu a little bit, right? Added ice cold Gatorade, added some chips to the menu, right? They called me the candy man. From the candy man, I went to the snack man, right?
The evolution.
My business handling is kind of formalized when I went to college, right? I wasn't selling candy anymore. I was attending Buffalo State, actually, the Fine Institute right across the street from here. If you'd asked me back then, would I think I would have been on a panel here at the Burchfield Penney today? I probably would have said no. But if you would ask me if I would have been surprised, I would have probably said no again, too. So I feel like the best part about like just being an entrepreneur, you have to have a strong mindset. And I feel like just the way that I grew up and then wrestling, that just instilled that mindset in me, right? So things don't really surprise me. And I am very grateful and blessed when things do happen, though. But started college. I wasn't selling candy anymore. Upgraded. And no, wasn't selling weed. Right? I started selling nutcrackers. For those who don't know, nutcrackers are fruity alcoholic beverages, really big in the Caribbean as well as in New York City for like just cultural parades, whatever, right? I started selling those, right? And it's crazy. I sold one for 10, 2 for 17, and 3 for 25. It's crazy because I sell my dooProcess socks for the same price right now. Shameless plug, dooProcess.org, check it out. But yeah, that's when my business handling is kind of formalized. dooProcess is, it refers to fair treatment through the judicial system, especially as a citizen's entitlement. And many people don't receive it, including myself. I was wrongfully arrested when I was a junior at Buffalo State College, had to fight for almost a year to clear my name. And then throughout that year, I like to say I witnessed all of the injustices in the justice system. From a judge who looked at me as guilty before innocent to a public defender who did not want to give me the time of day. After I was able to clear my name, I wanted to do something to share my story. And I thought, what better way to do that than through art, right? Because art is a form of expression, and then expression is the process of making known your thoughts and feelings. So that's when I started dooProcess, a streetwear clothing brand that advocates for social justice, not only through the designs, but by the mission as well. And we have a mission of donating back 15% of proceeds to various organizations that advocate for social justice. It was a collaboration between my passion for fashion and activism. And that was started in 2019. 4 years later, in 2023, I founded Buffalo Fashion Runway along with 4 of my co-founders, Dan Abatoy, Iman Wajed, Rodney Chapman, and Cam McDermott. Started off as just us wanting to throw a fashion show, right? But it turned into much more than that. It went beyond the dreads, right? So we're doing a bunch of things within the community, from talks at high schools to workshops with the youth, participating in the Juneteenth, the Pride activations, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that's why I say I didn't choose it, but it found me.
Yeah, it's incredible how much you have accomplished already in such a short amount of time launching these projects. I don't know when you sleep. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I'm actually going to start things off with Aitina again, because I went in a goofy order. All of you reference community on your websites and in your bios very early on. Sometimes within the first sentence, we hear the idea of community. If your organizations could make just one difference in Buffalo, one impact, what would you want that to be?
So I'm going to start with the reason why community exists in the first few words of what I do within my business. Get Focused Productions. I was really young, and I gained much of what I showcase today through community. Because of the community, I exist. Because of, like I said earlier, because of the funding sources and things like that that poured into the east side of Buffalo during the time of my, I want to say like 14, I was about 14, my first job. And then I went into a program called Yo Buffalo, Youth Opportunity Buffalo. And in that program, it equipped me with multiple skills, and it allowed me to learn about the creative trades. Not just identifying like those skills within that to produce a product, but walking alongside me as a young person to help me understand how to communicate properly, how to handle myself, how to exercise restraint, how to exist in a room, and when it's not about me, to be okay within that. I was young, learning really, really serious skills that I attribute to success that I found. And then now I feel like it's my duty to give that back. And so over the, oh man, I look young, but I'd say about 20 years, I've been working to find ways to do the same thing. In what ways? Whether it was in the careers of working with nonprofit organizations and youth development, in the detention center developing programs and activities that help students to choose better, you know, better decisions on behaviors and behavior modification, finding ways to implement creative arts within their spaces and understand how to express oneself like I was able to, just providing them with different tools and skills in order to just be better. I just want you to be better. So over the years, I've been able to develop and earn within the creative capacity, but then not only earn, but put money to the side so it can stack up so that I can invest in the next generation. So now I'm able to utilize all of those skills, not only skills, but all of that investment in building like a space in which students are able to utilize that equipment, you know, buying top of the line equipment, computers, laptops, souping them up with good systems and things like that so that they have access. The reason being is because I'll never forget, one of my mentors came to me when I was about 16, 17, and he said, what did I need in order for me to feel as though I can practice what I love? And that was creating videos. That was helping organizations, even at that age, helping organizations speak through digital stories. He said, what can I do? What can I get for you? And I said, I need a MacBook. Well, at that time, it wasn't a MacBook. It was the Mac computer, you know, the real funny looking one. And
I remember too.
that one. And then during that time, what was essential was Final Cut Pro. Back when you had to put the CDs in to download them, and it took all night.
Yes.
So I said I needed that, and it was about like over $1,000. And I'm thinking in my mind at that young age, I'm like, there's no way they're gonna be able to get $1,000 and then get MacBooks. And he was talking about getting a whole computer lab full of it. And so he did. Wow. And that did something to me, that you would invest your time to find the funding, to do whatever it is that you're doing. I don't know what you had to go do, to talk, to write, to engage, to advocate. I remember walking into the teen center and seeing a computer lab full of MacBooks or full of Mac computers, souped up with Final Cut Pro. And then he would give me jobs to earn money by doing video projects for organizations. And I was so young. I'll never forget that, so I do the same thing. I find ways to help young people, the next generation of creatives, earn from doing that work. So for me, community is important to say in the first few sentences, in the first few in the first few words, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. I really, truly wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. And the walking with is important. You know, I know what it feels like to be within an industry. I didn't even realize. I was just living my life as a creative. I didn't realize, like, oh, shoot, I'm probably being treated this way because I'm a woman. or because I have melanated skin. I didn't think about it. I'm just like moving and shaking. I'm not thinking about how I'm treated because I was taught to just exist. You know, I have freedom, I belong everywhere. So when I realized that and realized the barriers that I was actually facing and why I couldn't push through certain spaces, I said, well, I know one thing for sure. I'm going to be the person that walks young people into the rooms. And whatever I have to do, whatever platform, if that means I got to rap my way, if I'm going to be a national recording artist and I'm going to go and I'm going to make albums and I'm going to executively produce them and grow my platform and make it bigger so that they can get on that platform, that's what I'm going to do. If that means that I'm going to write and speak and be on a stage and give my all, that's what I'm going to do. And every room that I go into, I'm going to bring them with me so that they can be able to execute and be able to see a professional move and shake and be authentically themselves so that they can have the confidence to say, I can do this too. And so community, that's what that is. And in whatever ways I have to do it, I'm going to do it. So you said something else, but I said a lot. So I'm going to move forward.
Thank you so much for sharing those intangible resources, but sometimes you just need a computer.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need those physical resources too. Thank you.
Yep.
How about you, Alexa? What community impacts do you want to see from your organizations?
Well, so the mission or goal of Eat Off Art is a collaboration of artists, educators, and entrepreneurs working to build more empathetic communities. And that's what it comes down to, an empathetic community, the humanity, making sure that people see each other, but making sure people are authentically able to be who they are. And I think that started from early ages. We were raised by community, Idris and I. We had the Langston Hughes Center, the African American Cultural Center. We had the Kwanzaa programs. We had the Hollies. We had the Juneteenth programs. We had all these programs and all of these institutions that were focused on building community. And not necessarily the community that looks like you, but because we had that safe space, we were able to recognize community outside of who we are as individuals. And we've always done that, whether we've done events, whether we've had a retail shop, whether we are in our new space. Before we think about ourselves, we're always thinking about community. What do they need? Where are the elders going to sit? What's this going to be? What's that going to be? And how can we all work together? And how can we all support each other? How can we give back to each other? As a chef, I go into a kitchen, and my goal is, at the end of the day, I leave it cleaner and better than I found it. That's what we need to do as individuals.
There's
right?
so many different ways to care for your community.
There's so many different ways, but you also have to start here, which I think a lot of people forget. And people automatically want to start pulling in people and pulling everything else together. But if you're not together, who and how are you going to support others? Right? So we have to work on ourselves individually. We have to heal ourselves. We have to grow. We have to tear down the walls and the fences that we all have and recognize the triggers that we have, the biases that we have, but we also need to understand the treasures that we have and the authenticity that we have and the gifts and the skills and the talents that we can share with other people.
Wow. Thank you. Okay, Chad, how about Buffalo Fashion Runway and dooProcess? If you had one impact, what would you want that to be?
First, thank you, Aitina and Alexa, for the wonderful breakdown of that. That was amazing. To give an example about community, I would say we often say we want to make Buffalo a better Buffalo. How do we do that, right? One thing that was put on the forefront for me, maybe I think it was 2 weeks ago now, July 19th, I had my first ever pop-up for my brand dooProcess. I founded the brand in 2019, so it is currently 5 years old, going on to 6. And you may ask why? Why are you now having your first pop-up for your brand, right? I give you a million excuses as to why I never had the pop-up, right? But I think the reason that it was that maybe I was scared, right? With BFR, it's a collective, right? With dooProcess, it's just me, right? And I necessarily don't really like the spotlight, right? So maybe I was...
Sorry.
Literally.
But you gotta go there and you gotta accept your greatness sometimes. So that's me doing this panel, right? That's one thing I did, right? Me having a pop-up, that was another thing. And I was scared, I guess, to step into that greatness, right? But I was like, no, I gotta do this, right? People want this, right? And it was a test, and I didn't know exactly what to expect with having the pop-up. It could have been 1 million people there, it could have been one person there, right? But I'm the type of person, even if that one person would have showed up, it would have made my day. I would have been good. So I had the pop-up. It was at Trend Up store on Allen Street. Shout out the fellas in the back. The BFR team just walked in.
Just in time.
But yeah, I had that pop-up, and my mind was blown. The Buffalo showed out and showed love. I'm a transplant to the city, again, originally from Brooklyn, New York, moved to Buffalo for school. Ever since I've been here in the city, they've just been showing me immense love, and it was prevalent on that day. I had people who I thought would come, then I had people who I didn't even know that came to the pop-up, right? And it goes back to the African proverb that my mentor and brother, Wajed Bolden, taught me, which is Ubuntu. I am because we are. I am because we are, meaning that the people that surround me make me, right?
Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're moving on to my only slightly controversial question of the evening, and I'm going to ask Alexa to answer it first because I think that you are directly addressing this with your work. And that question is art a luxury? And how do we move the conversation forward if other people, corporations, politicians, see arts and culture as an afterthought or a nice to have? Sorry to lay that one on you.
Is art a luxury? Yes, and.
Yes.
One, it depends upon your definition of it, right? Historically, art has been a luxury because it's been for the rich upper class, the royals, the people that had the time to spend laying with grapes and wine and painting on a canvas. A luxury is people who say, you know, I can't even draw a stick figure, but then you have people who can draw these elaborate designs. A luxury can simply be having the time to do it, to do the thing. That's a luxury. Being able to afford it, being able to be a collector, that's a luxury, right? To be able to have millions of dollars in art that you can write off in tax form and say, oh, I'm building my empire. That's a luxury. But I think we all should be afforded the luxury, right? We all should recognize the importance of art and what it can do for us individually as a healing tool, and what it can do to stir things up. Which is why the answer to your second question is, what was it? Take it away.
How do we move things forward if people in the community see cultural production as a nice to have?
Yes, so the point is to that, I think I was making, art is the natural predator to power. And we know that because of what's happening right now, right? So art can never be an afterthought. It's always right in front of your face. Now, if people choose to ignore it and they forget about it, that's a whole nother story. But as Eat Off Art, we recognize the importance of art. We recognize the value of, one, the artist that is creating the art, two, the person who can appreciate that art, three, the corporations, business, and individuals that can pay for the art, the value of the art. So it's not an afterthought, and we have really strived to state and to show and to prove that art needs to be valued appropriately with corporations here in Buffalo. There have been so many people have come to us over these 30 years. Oh, why don't you give us some paintings and some artwork or put up a mural? We'll give you a great exposure. Exposure has no value. Exposure does nothing for anyone. So what we do is we say, listen, that we can't do that. If that's all you have, then no, we can't give you our art. And we have seen the fruits of our labor, because corporations like Julia Norris and M&T and Rich Products and other corporations like that are recognizing that. And I heard from a specific person, we are going to ask for whatever fee you say, because we see you doing this work. We see that there is a purpose and a premise behind everything that you do, how it builds community, bringing people out, making sure that people recognize what's going on. So art is never an afterthought, and it shouldn't be an afterthought. And we're seeing in real time what happens when it is an afterthought.
Wow, thank you for that incredibly thoughtful and nuanced answer. Thank you. Aitina, is art a luxury?
I mean, she answered the question. Luxury in the etymology of the word is not essential. It's just like extra. In some ways, yeah, art, depending on how you position it, can be luxurious. To put, I guess, to put a banana on the wall. Clearly, that's luxurious. With duct tape. With duct tape, by the way. That's luxurious, I guess. I'm gonna, by the way, go to Wigman's and get a couple bananas and see how that works for me. Maybe I'm in the wrong space. So you have that, but then there's like the practice, the idea of art. Art in of itself is the expression of human creativity, right? And then to create is to form out of nothing. It's to bring something into existence that wasn't there before. And then the question would be to you all, like, is that essential? The very space that we're in was created from nothing. Is this space essential? Everywhere you look, there's art, there's creativity. We are all creative, and to push towards the idea of those that see art as just like this cute little thing. I just did a TEDx talk about this, and if you take my life, I went from foster care to freedom through the creative arts. The creative arts allowed me to be financially stable. The creative arts allowed me to give opportunities. We've been able to raise a lot of money within this space and to help a lot of people within the community in many different ways. And then I pulled this up because I knew I was going to forget the words, the numbers. So right here in Western New York, the arts industry supports over 8,000 jobs. This is what I would say to those that think it's like a little cute little thing. Like, oh, this is so cute. Oh, you just made something. No, let's listen. We made 8,000 jobs. It brings in over $300 million in household income for local residents, and it generates over $120 million in taxes. These are statistics that can be found in the latest AEP report that is done through Art Services, Inc. And those numbers in and of itself, I would push for people to understand the process and stop getting so caught up in the product. The product is beautiful, that's great. We made something that everybody can adorn. The murals are cute and fun and great, and it generates income to put into a pocket. But then there's the process of that. Y'all don't see Eat Off Art in a space sitting with creatives and talking them through processes and communicating to them to understand how to value themselves. A lot of times, other industries, let's take sports, for example. Sports generates millions of dollars. People make so much money off of it, and it's that thing that parents want to position their children in. I need you to be in football, and I need you to be in this and that because you're going to learn these skills and work with teams. But theater can do the same thing.
Yes.
I will take someone with a theater background because I know you know how to work under pressure. You know how to improv. You know what improvisation has done for me? This. This right here. I didn't know I was going to say that. But I said it, and I'm confident with it. The reason why I can exist and move and shake in a variety of rooms, not just rooms that with people that look like me, but rooms with people that don't look like me, don't think like me, and I can still gain their trust and their respect, is because of theater. Not that I'm acting like something else, but because I have restraint and I have resilience and I have grit and I know what it means to hold a stage and hold individuals in the palm of my hand. I was taught through theater. I was taught through dance to move in elegance. I was taught through writing to think, how do I utilize my words in different ways so that I can connect with people? The arts is more than just a cute little thing that you put on a wall. It's more than this thing that you pay people with exposure. It is life. It is valuable. It puts money in pockets. It has allowed me and my husband to be able to handle and move and shake with our family. We bought a second home because we're working together in many different capacities. We need to say that more. We need to express that more and stop getting so caught up. As artists, stop getting so caught up in the cuteness of the words of, oh, I created this thing in the abstract. We have to talk numbers. 8,000 jobs, $120 million in taxes. That's local, state, and federal. Let's start talking that talk, because that's the talk that a lot of executives can understand, and they pull on like, oh, money. Yeah, money.
What could be more vital? What could be more vital than that?
Exactly, and it's not just about money. I lean on like you guys with the idea of art being a healing process. It heals. I grew up in traumatic circumstances. I went through some stuff, y'all. I was, many people, don't know, and I kind of tell it, and they're like, oh, Aitina, stop it. I threw chairs at teachers. I got suspended from school. I got kicked out of school. I had to go to City Hall in order to get back into school. I almost didn't graduate high school. Why? Because I had a hard time managing my emotions, even with community engagement. But it was the arts. The arts is the reason why I'm structured the way that I am, that I'm poised the way that I am. The reason why that I can hold my head up and say, I've already won. It's the arts that help me heal, and I'm still healing. I'm still human. That's the reason. It's not just about the money. It's also life. It's the reason why I exist. So when we talk about, I'm obviously passionate about this. But I have this frustration when it comes to individuals that can't see it. And they put it in this little, prissy box, as if it's this thing that you put to the side, like, oh, let's bring in the artist. They'll help us right now.
The afterthought.
Oh, okay, now that we're all good, now we can go about real business. No, this is real business.
Yep.
This is real business. This is what we do, This is it.
All right, I'm gonna wind up our question portion with Chad on this one.
Can I answer that question?
Yes, I'm gonna end that with you because I think it's really interesting to ask this question in relationship to fashion, because that's so tied to the idea of luxury. But I think you're really doing something that goes beyond that idea. So take it away.
Thank you, appreciate it. And thank you guys again for your wonderful responses. As you said, it was a controversial question, but those bring out the best answers, right? And I want to be very intentional about what I say next, because it is very important. Like I mentioned earlier, God didn't give me the gift of gab at public speaking, but he did give me the power of the pen. So I will be going on script with this one. I don't want you to think of it as a script, though. I want you to think of it as maybe spoken word, if I may. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so the question was, is art a luxury? How do we move forward if other people or corporations see cultural production as an afterthought? My answer, I guess it would depend on your definition of what luxury is. Because art is a form of expression, and again, expression is a process of making known your thoughts and feelings. So, if you're looking at luxury in terms of it being exclusive and everyone not having access to it, then no, art is not a luxury. Because everyone has access to art, and it comes in many different mediums. For example, we are in an art gallery right now. That's a form of visual art. Aitina is the poet laureate of Buffalo. That is spoken art. Ms. Wajed creates beautiful hand-painted leather earrings. That is wearable art. But if you're looking at luxury in terms of something of high quality, then yes, art can be luxury because that is subjective. Excuse me. To answer the second part of the question on how do we continue to move forward if people and organizations see cultural production as an afterthought, people usually don't want to be a part of something until it's cool, right? And they see everyone else doing it. So what do? We keep making it cool. And we do that by continuing to push the needle, continuing to set the trend, and continuing to create the culture. For instance, I related to Buffalo Fashion Runway's story. We have been very blessed since the beginning. Our very first show, we gained the support of many different esteemed organizations, the Burchfield Penney being one of them. Thank you. But that doesn't mean we didn't receive many no's as well. A big organization that will remain unnamed said to us, in quotes, "Unfortunately, the arts is not an area of focus for us," end quotation. It's the craziest thing to read. We didn't let it stop us, though. We actually let it fuel us. Our second ever show was Buffalo Fashion Runway Black Carpet. It's a celebration of Black history and Black excellence in the month of February in the form of a fashion production. We host 2 big events a year, and Black Carpet is our premier event. As a part of that event, we celebrate 10 Buffalo Black icons. A Buffalo Black icon is an individual that is doing great things in their community beyond their natural work, in service, culture, art, activism, and business. The first ever Black Carpet was a sold-out celebration of over 500 people on the east side of Buffalo at the Northland Workforce Training Center. Pardon me, I lost mine. We received the support of many notable organizations, but to highlight one, we received the support of the Buffalo Bills. When an outsider thinks of Buffalo, they think about 2 things, maybe 3. The Bills and the Wings, and the cold/snow being the third one. But for our second ever event, we received the support of a Buffalo staple and the Buffalo Bills. We are now cool, right, in the eyes of other organizations who probably didn't necessarily have an interest in the arts before. Going on the Black Carpet too. This was just a while ago in February. It was another sold-out celebration with 1,000 plus people, this time on the west side of Buffalo at the Connecticut Street Armory. We were the first event to open back up their doors in the 8 years that they have been closed for rentals. It was another spectacle. And again, we received the support of many notable organizations. But to highlight one, we received the support of the Buffalo Sabres. We are now super cool. Right? And I'm saying that and framing it this way so that you can see the upward trajectory that Buffalo Fashion Runway is on, the trend of progression. So now that we're on the Black Carpet 3, and no, it didn't happen yet, but Black Carpet 3 will be at Shades. Yes, Shades. Yes, the one on Main Street. Yes, the big one. The one where Wicked happens, yes, that one. Buffalo Fashion Runway Black Carpet 3 will be at Shades Performing Arts Center on February 28th as a part of their centennial year celebration and to close out Black History Month in Buffalo. That's legendary. And they reached out to us, right? Big shout out to Alicia Rainey on the Shades team for pushing it through, but they reached out to us in regards to having our premiere event at the Premier Theater in Buffalo. So I say all that to say, you have to continue putting it in the forefront and shoving it in their face, giving them no other choice but to say, we got to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Woo! All right. So now it's your turn. We've got 2 mic runners out in the audience. Tiffany and Scott are out there. We want to turn things over to you for your questions now. All right.
Hi, y'all.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank y'all for this panel because I know y'all. I admire and am inspired by y'all, even outside of this panel, just every day. And I'm gonna try not to cry. So my statement before my question is, I'm 42. I've worked in social work for 15 years, left the field because it didn't feed me anymore. I wanted to focus on my art and my passion and the things that I love. I have a podcast, but it's not sponsored. I have a YouTube channel, but I'm not monetized. But I press on. Mm-hmm. But it's hard because I'm also killing myself trying to make ends meet. I'm door dashing, y'all. I made $57 today, and I worked 5.5 hours. But it be like that because I'm in pursuit of what fills me. And I guess I want to know from y'all, because I'm sure you've had times where you didn't know where the next check was coming or how things were going, but you were so tuned in to your purpose that you couldn't stop. So I want to know how you're able to continue on even when you're not knowing where the next check is coming from in order to get to the place that you are and where you're continuing to go. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for that really powerful question.
I'd like to jump in because immediately, first of all, thank you. I love you. Every time I see you, I'm like, listen, I remember kind of seeing what I wanted, but knowing that it's just so far off. I remember being a solo photographer. I thought that I was just going to be a photographer. Just that's what I was going to do. I just remember learning throughout the years that, like my adoptive mother taught me, that's my mom, she's 93. She adopted us in her 50s, me, my sister, and my brother. One thing I learned, and I learned a whole bunch, she said, don't quit your day job. You're just gonna have to put in a lot more work. You gotta put in a lot more hustle. And there was a lot of work. I was 21 when I had my son. It was just me and him. And I pushed and I persevered, and it was hard. Many nights crying, not knowing how I was gonna make ends meet. I remember standing at the Rath building in a line, feeling humiliated to sign up for food stamps and Medicaid and trying to do the best that I can and feeling like, this gotta be the bottom of the bottom. And still working full time and still going to school and taking care of my son and trying to figure it all out. And not knowing my value and being afraid to say it costs this much because I might lose the opportunity. Thinking that I had to accept every single opportunity and to say yes, 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 yes. And then to be overwhelmed because I gave all these yeses. And now I have to carry out the work to hold up the yeses while still working 9 to 5, while still trying to make ends meet. It was hard. It was so hard. And that's the part that a lot of people don't see. And this is what I'm saying when I say we bedazzle the product, but you don't understand the process. Me here, this is work. And this is why I move the way that I move. This is work. So what I say to you is, you don't have to DoorDash and whatever else you got to do. But do not suffocate your value Start letting people know what it costs. And let them, this is what it costs, and you stand on that, and you be confident with that. Start to look into and research the industry that you're in, and start honing in on it. Evaluate where you are within that metric, and you stand firm and confident about your value and your worth. And don't let people run over you and try to make you feel less than because you're an artist, or try to pay you with exposure. I got enough, son. Got enough, son. I don't need any more exposure. Exposure done exposed. I'm done. It is what it is. And sometimes that's tough for us to accept as artists because we feel like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. And I will say, especially for many different reasons that I'll not dig into, but especially us with this sun-kissed skin, we have been taught that for whatever reason, we don't have as much value. And we walk with that burden. Let that go. You belong everywhere, and you deserve every penny.
I'm going to add right
Now
quickly to that.
that's one thing to say, it feels good, but then you got to walk that out. Get yourself around a circle of people that believe that same thing, and then develop some business acumen. Get some CRM, customer relations management. Start putting things in practice. Put your money in a money marketing account. Let it stack, let it build. Those types of things are going to help as well. But don't give up. Don't
Yes,
Let Alexa
and
build.
right quick. One, you got to give yourself grace. You have been working and moving. You should be proud of what you've accomplished and what you've done so far, but you also have to allow yourself to just be. You have to recognize that, yes, there are going to be sacrifices. We've had to work jobs that we don't want to work because we have responsibilities, but we did not give up on what our purpose, what our love was, what our practice was. And when you think about the sacrifice where, okay, I gotta go do this job even though I really don't want to be here, allow the magic to happen. You never know what's gonna happen in whatever space that you are in when you authentically show up as yourself. You could be door dashing, you might meet up with this, executive producer of podcasting. You may be like, yo, I got a podcast, I got a YouTube channel. You never know. So you have to give yourself that grace. You have to show up as who you are, and you have to allow the magic to happen even though you are making the sacrifices that you have to.
Every job is a platform.
We have another question.
Thank you. Aitina, Chad, and Alexa, I think I speak for the room when I say that you are inspiring. You are intelligent, creative. You're making us cry. We're so proud that you're from Buffalo, and that you're making this community even better than it's been and will be. My question for you relates to education. I am a proud Buffalo State graduate. Woo! I earned my master's in higher education and student administration. Excuse me. Bad allergies, I'm not sick, I promise. In higher education and student affairs administration. And my goal was to earn that degree before I turned 60. And I earned it in August, and I turned 60 in the following November. I'm only here tonight for one reason, and that is because, well, I'm a member of my husband and I are members of Burchfield, which is amazing. Join up, everyone, if you're not a member. I am not getting any compensation for that announcement. But I'm here because of Aitina. So when I was a student in Buffalo State, which took me 5 years to make it through, but I did it, I went to a program that Aitina presented at Buffalo State, and I just want to cry thinking about it. I'm older than the previous question asker. I'm 62, not 42, and when I was a Buffalo State student in this capacity, I worked there as well. I started my career in higher ed as an employee there about 30 years before that. But excuse me 1 second, I'm sorry. I brought my water with me because I knew I would need it. Anyway, when I was a student here, I attended a presentation that Aitina did at Buffalo State, and I'm not sure if she's done it many times, but it had to do with rap music. And when was that, Aitina? Did you do it every year, or was it only once, or? I don't know.
I don't even know anymore.
You don't know anymore. Well,
I do too many.
I attended because I thought it was the coolest thing on earth, and I was obviously the oldest person in the room, but she was teaching students how to write a rap song. And these were students from all walks of life and backgrounds and musical abilities and no abilities whatsoever, and cultural and all sorts of backgrounds from all over the United States that come here to Buffalo State, now University. And I was so impressed with this woman that in my 62 years, there have been 2 presentations in my life that impressed me that much. And I don't even remember what the other one was, but when I see her name somewhere on an email, I will know and go to that event as well. So, Aitina, you inspired me in such an incredible way, and I spent my career studying international relations, other cultures, and I focused my research here, well, here, I guess we're here, right? Are we still
We're
officially
here.
Buffalo
We're still
State,
here.
right? In studying Latinx students and their supportive partners in relationship to career exploration, which is my specialty. I'm a career development person. Anyway, so my question is this. How do you bring this inspiration, how have you, and I know that Aitina did it this one time because I was there on site, into the classroom of later high school students, specifically juniors and seniors, and early college students. My focus was in career exploration and folks that were undeclared. To bring this inspiration into the classroom so that they understand that it is possible and they internalize that and their world is opened like a tidal wave. And I know you've done it, but how can we as a community assist you in getting into the classroom physically, because you need to be there because you're here in person and you are just blowing it out of the water.
Thank you.
So honestly, it's so important, but can you envision how you might do that, or how we as a community might help you to get into the classroom of older high school students who are considering college, but may not feel like it's for them and they can't do it, and they just want to get a job, and to help them realize their passions, in which case they'll definitely get a job and make a lot of money doing it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for a clarifying the question.
So you get you in the
So
classroom.
how can you envision that we as a community help get folks like you physically into individual classrooms
Understood.
in high schools and in our local colleges, whether it be community colleges, colleges, universities, to help you to get in the classroom? What, as a community, can we do to help get people like you to parlay your experience and enthusiasm and your just vibe that is off the charts into the classroom physically? So you could be in a classroom of 10 students, you could be in a classroom of 300 over at UB.
Thank you.
And in 1 hour, you could access 13 kids. How do we as a community help you to do that and get your colleagues that you probably are in touch with, because there's only one of each of you.
Yeah.
And there are only 24 hours in a day. So
Yeah.
not you specifically, but folks like you to
Yep.
spread the word. Now, we have folks here, but really, we could have a lot more people here, and we should. But how do we do that and spread the word to the young people that are in need of knowing that things are possible for them that they never thought were?
I'm going to jump, Aitina, and say, one, going back to one of your questions, how is art not an afterthought? We need to put into the budgets of the Buffalo Public School District and the City of Buffalo and Erie County a fund so that artists can come in, entrepreneurs can come in, yes, out of the goodness of their heart, but also recognizing they should be paid for their time. These artists can very well be making maybe $2,000 in a month. So even $150, $250 to come in for an hour to speak is not a big ask. But when, as organizations and schools ask, we get those questions and it's like, God, we really want to do it, but yeah, you know, we're not making any money. We got to go to this meeting so we can make money. It would, one, make it a lot easier for everybody if you all just said, not you all, but everyone, the community simply said, we have this budget for artists. $250 per presentation, come in for an hour, spend the day with us, share your wisdom, share your knowledge, and then it's an easier yes.
Should be a lot more than $250.
It's a lot more than, yes. However, I mean, even that, people will choke on that amount. It should be a lot more money, but when you're talking about Buffalo, you're talking about these spaces, you're speaking of art that is non-essential, forget it. But as artists, as compassionate people, as people that want to build empathetic communities, as people that want to inspire the youth so that we can bring them along with us and encourage them and know that they have a bright future where they can truly be their authentic selves. We struggle with saying yes because it doesn't pay the bills. You all, when you're working, you have a definite salary. You can rely on getting a check every other week. You can do your volunteer work and it's no problem. We cannot afford to do volunteer work. We can't. So you need to talk to your officials. You need to talk to the superintendent. You need to speak to the people who are holding the purse strings and say, listen, we need people in the community to come in and share their creativity, their entrepreneurship, and the things that they feel passionately about so that we can give these children a chance. And that is not happening.
I will,
Just make a
I will
comment
say,
the same for higher education.
The same for higher, absolutely.
I will say that I agree, and yes, and. So we keep saying yes, and. For those theater people out there, raise your hand. You know what we're
Yes,
talking about.
and.
Yes, and progresses. It's a build-up. It's a conversation. It doesn't stop you. So yes, and I will say that I've actually found a great deal of success being able to go into, especially higher ed spaces and teach. I've been an adjunct professor at Buffalo State. I've co-taught and built curriculums to support Villa Maria College in their digital storytelling department. I've done a lot of teaching within, I want to say, I may have touched every school, Buffalo Public School, and some of the charter schools through many different forms. Now, I've worked within organizations, and I've also been like a teaching artist in many different capacities. Shout out to SEPA Gallery. That gave me kind of my first, we could clap.
Yes, yes.
They gave me my first go at being a teaching artist through photography. So I may have been 17 or 18, and I was able to gain a job in that taught me, that built my confidence. And I developed programming in order to go into different schools. But I also worked within what used to be young audiences. It's Arts Partners for Learning. I was a teaching artist there, but I also was an education coordinator, and I ran a couple of programs and developed their Artworks program, which still runs today. It's a program that I felt passionate about, that students need to get paid to learn, like I did, and so they work alongside master teaching artists in order to develop their skills. So I found a great deal of success, but after I left the comfort of organizations and start to move on my own, it was a little tougher.
Yep.
And I had to accept exposure moments.
Yes.
And then I also had to accept less than what I knew I was worth for some time. I shouldn't say a moment, for some time. And then I came to a point and I said, you know what? Later for that. This is what it costs. And I showcased my resume and I stood on business no matter how nervous I was, no matter how much sweat I had under my armpits when I was talking about this, it costs this. No matter how many times people looked at me and said, what do you mean? And, oh, that's too much. Oh, we have to move on. We have to pass this up. We can't take on this proposal. We'll hold on to your proposal. We'll take your ideas from this proposal and implement it ourselves without letting you know situations.
Yep.
I had to go through all of that. But I say all that to say I am doing that work currently. I'm still moving and shaking. A lot of times I get requested outside of my city to go to do a lot of educational work. But, you know, I find ways to do it here. And I know we talked about like the volunteering. We can't do that all the time because it doesn't pay bills. But I found a way to where, because of my company, Get Focused Productions, and we work with high-level organizations and foundations, and we support those organizations to tell their stories. And these organizations have big budgets, and we do good work. And I work and collaborate with good, professional, you know, high-quality individuals within our community, and we supply good work, and we earn, and a portion of that money goes into ASI, which is our fiscal sponsor, and then we're able to cut, because it is what it is. There are some organizations that can't afford. They want you, but they can't afford. There are some schools that can't afford you to come, but I still want those students to see me. They need to see me. And so sometimes it's like, you know what? I'm gonna put this money to the side, and if you could come up with half, that's what's up. But I'll pull those funds so that I can get in front of those students. So I have cards, QR codes. I will give that to you. And by all means, if you want us to come in and speak to students, it is what I love to do. It is what I absolutely love to do. So I would definitely talk to you about that.
I think we've got 2 great calls to action. And so I'm going to take that moment to invite Tiffany up onto the stage to, I'm sorry, we've got one last question.
Sorry.
2 last questions.
2 last questions. Okay,
Yes.
2 quick questions. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hog all the questions.
Good evening, Steve Gabris, Buffalo Spree Magazine. Thank you so much for being here. I forgot my question now. There was a documentary a few years back about Nan Golden, who took on the Sackler family and won. I look at the 3 of you, and I feel like the 3 of you have taken on Buffalo and have won, or are winning. Unfortunately, I feel a little bit pessimistic these days. The Jamal well is running low on money, and the stadium and Orchard Park and the train that doesn't go anywhere, and on, and we can't shovel snow anymore apparently. I guess I'm wondering, are you optimistic? And I think that you are, but if so, where do you draw from that, or how do you find that?
You want to start, Jared?
No, I can't. So
Yeah, I'm optimistic. Where does that come from? I don't know where my hope comes from. I just know that, 1, I want to leave evidence that I've been here. 2, I know I don't have a lot of time here. 3, I don't know when my last breath is going to be, so I really have to just get everything that I have inside out. People are dropping like flies and leaving this realm, I'm sure because of what's going on, but when you look at friends, family, community members that are expiring, whether it's within their time or not in their time, when you see things that are not going well for the communities, all you can do is just be like, okay, what do I have? As a creative, what do I have in me? How can I do this? How can I just be the light? How can I be the light for myself? And that's what you have to start with. I go back to my first answer. What do you have here? This is what is going to bring the hope, the help, and the optimism. And I know that may be a rose-tinted glasses response, but honestly, I think I just woke up one day. I'm like, I can't do this shit anymore. I can't. I can't. I have to be me. I have to not feel guilty about being excited. I have to not feel guilty about being who I am and how dope I am,
Yes.
And how my legacy is dope, how my kids are amazing, how my husband is amazing, how my community is amazing, every single person that we are in touch with, every person that we don't even know, that knows us, they are dope because we are all part of this community. And when we start to see people working together, Buffalo Fashion Runway, Get Focused, Buffalo News, Burchfield Penney, all these organizations just doing all these wonderful things, we just gotta find this joy. Just find it.
Amen.
Can I
Go
extend
find
that
it.
question to Chad too? Because I think you always strike me as one of the most optimistic people.
Yeah,
Like,
you gotta
where does
have
your
faith.
hope come from?
Yes, you
How
gotta
do we
have
tap into
faith, and
that?
you have to be a little bit crazy. So I want to touch on T's question a little bit as well too with that. I guess it started with the way I grew up, right? Just watching my mom and watching her hustle every day, right? Just watching that, it builds something in you, especially as a young mind. So when I was going through the situation of the wrongful arrest, I'm more of a person, I stick to myself. I don't really tell anybody anything that I got going on or anything like that. But I believe in a higher being, right? And I look to him, her, whatever it may be, for guidance. So throughout that whole situation, I didn't really tell anybody. My mom didn't know, but I knew everything would be all right, and everything turned out to be all right, thank God. And I would like to compare it to a situation with wrestling and then also the New York Businessman competition that I said I'd touch on earlier. So I was a high school wrestler, started wrestling my sophomore year in high school, and I came from a football background, and I was pretty good at wrestling because of my strength, right? I didn't necessarily have technique my sophomore year, but I was good because of my strength. But then I'd go against somebody who knew what they were doing, and I would lose. My junior year in high school, I was ineligible, I couldn't wrestle. Moving on to my senior year, I trained that whole off season. My junior year, I would go to this program called Beat the Streets, and I'll go there and I'll train every day. And to go and wrestle, you gotta be a little bit crazy, right? And to be an entrepreneur, you gotta be a little bit crazy as well too, because you don't really know what's coming, right? So like my mindset, it shifted. Going into my senior year of high school, I was the #1 wrestler in New York City at the 170-pound weight class. I got injured and I couldn't make it to the state tournament, and it kind of made me ineligible for even going to college to wrestle, right? Because I needed that tournament to be qualified for the state tournament. Every wrestler's dream is to win the New York State Championship. I'm not saying I would have won one because I was fairly new to wrestling, but it was a dream. During Buffalo State College, my junior year after starting dooProcess, there was the New York Business Plan competition. It was also a state tournament, right? Since I couldn't compete in that state tournament in high school, this was my new state tournament, and I wanted to win it. There's 2 parts of the competition, similar to wrestling. There was a regional part, and then there was a state part of the competition. For the regionals for the business plan competition, you had to place within the top 2 to advance to the state part of the competition. I got 2nd place in the regional, and it just didn't sit well with me, right? I was like, no, I got a good business, it's a good idea. I can get first, I just got to touch up some things, right? Touched up some things, and went on to the state part of the competition, and I took 1st place. The reason I went so hard for it was because in my head, that was the wrestling state tournament, right? So I shifted my mindset to making me think as this is the state tournament, I'm gonna win a New York State Championship, and I had faith in that I was able to do that, and I was able to do that, and I was able to accomplish that. Brings me a little bit fast forward, 2020, I graduate college, I get a job at a company, end up losing that job in 2023. What am I to do? I have dooProcess and I have Buffalo Fashion Runway now, right? Do I go look for another job, or do I stick it through with these businesses, right? I'm proud to say today I've been a full-time entrepreneur with no 9-to-5 job for the past year and 8 months now, focusing full-time on my dreams because I was able to switch and change my mindset.
Wow. Well,
His overall mindset.
we've got one last question, and then.
What's up? Y'all know who I am.
Oh, hey, Chandra.
Chandra here, creator of Sneak Vibe and Media. I'm a writer, content creator. Number 1, I just got to give you guys your flowers. One point that needs to be made too, artists, supporting artists is so important, and I'm gonna shout them out. Eat Off Art was the reason that my article was in the African American Travel Guide for Buffalo. Get Focused Production was the biggest sponsor for Ladies First last year. Buffalo Fashion Runway was the biggest sponsor for my Ladies First event this year.
Wow.
So all of them have supported me, and in some way or another. So artists supporting artists and kind of having that coalition amongst ourselves too is really important, and we're able to build community that way too, so that we support each other and build a foundation. My question though is, as artists, you know, you go from one level to another level, and a lot of you guys have seen my journey, and even artists that are in here, you're all on journeys. Even the first young woman that mentioned like what she's going through right now, their journeys and their stages, and I totally empathize with what she went through, because I know how it was when I wanted to first start Sneak Vibing and didn't know if anybody was going to listen to me. But then there's also like plateaus in the journey, and I kind of feel like I'm getting in that stage of, I know what I'm doing, I know I'm kind of figuring out what my value is, I know where I'm going, but it's like, what do I need to shift to get to the next level? I just wanted to see if you guys had any challenges that in your journey where you kind of had to shift, like you got to a point, you're at level 10, now you need to keep going to get to a level 11, to level 20. So I wanted to know if you guys have any insight on that.
How do you get through the plateau?
Listen, I had to shift so many times in my life specifically, but in business. One of the things that can be difficult for us as creatives or artists is the letting go and delegating. And like I said, I started my business 13 years ago. And I thought that I was just going to be a photographer. I loved a lot of different things, but I had the skill sets in photography and video. And so I thought, I was like, okay, this Get Focused Productions is going to be photography and video. It didn't satisfy me enough. It didn't, like, as I went through and I was taking on all of these jobs, and I did a wedding all by myself, like crazy, taking pictures and video. You're wild, no help, because I felt like I could only trust me, and I thought I was good, I got this. No, I did not, and I had to relinquish, and I failed often, and I had to go to the clients and say, you know, I apologize, your images and your video will not be delivered to you until like next month, or, you know, whatever the case is. I had to be humble, and I had to be humble enough to say, I can't do this by myself. And that was the most difficult part of business, because I can trust me. If I fell on me, I could be mad at me. But when it's other individuals involved, I get nervous, because I want to do them well, but I also want to teach and I want to coach. And so I got nervous, like I know that I need to step into a different space, and now I need to make sure I manage right, and I need to do well by people, and I want to be human first. I'm compassionate, but how much compassion do I give? How much leeway do I give? How much support do I give? How much hand-holding do I give? You know what I mean? So I had to kind of walk through that process, and it was so scary. It was very scary to relinquish and get to a point to say, you know what? Just is what it is. It literally took me getting into an accident to realize I really can't do this by myself now. I need to have a team. And so today, like, we have, 10, 15 different creatives that, you know, work in collaboration on multiple different projects. And I'm not perfect. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm a human. But I'm proud. And be proud, Chandra. Be proud, because I see you now. You have people with you. You're building a team. Acknowledge that. A lot of times I don't think we acknowledge the growth that we have, and sometimes it's because we're looking at everyone else and we're comparing ourselves. Like, oh, they're doing this, they doing that. That's their business. You do your business. You pay attention to what you have in front of you. And so, like, I think for us as creatives, being okay with, like, okay, it's time for me to level up. It's time for me to step back. And it's okay as an artist, you be a CEO of your artistry. It's okay to take on a business mindset. It's difficult, but take on that business mindset and start putting yourself in position. so that if you carry that business acumen and knowing like, okay, operations, back-end work, financials, budgets, invoices, contracts, you gotta get focused. No pun intended. You gotta get focused and put those things in practice so that if we do that, if we become better at business and ethics and carrying ourselves in a position and carrying ourselves with respect, honor, dignity, and things like that, people will respect the art. I think a lot of times as creatives, we kind of just, oh, I feel like doing this. You need to do it in excellence. Do it intentionally. Be wise. Get you a bunch of people that understand your industry if you can, and work with them. I'm going on and on, I'm sorry. But I think it's a matter of understanding when you need to have help and doing that afraid. Doing it with nervousness. I had to do it afraid, and I'm still doing it afraid. I'm scared. I'm scared, but you know what? Scared ain't gonna stop me. No. So, you just gotta keep moving and pushing and understanding, all right, time to level up, time to fall back, time to push forward, time to get help.
Yes, and you need to understand what that plateau is. Sorry. You need to understand what that plateau is and why you think you're at a plateau. What are you looking at and what are you comparing yourself to, as simply what Aitina said? But I'm at a different stage in my life, so I'm good with the plateaus. And I want those plateaus so things are not that busy. But as a young entrepreneur, you need to, one, not be comfortable with being uncomfortable, but be able to recognize and appreciate those plateaus, because those are going to allow you to kind of settle in and see what you do like to do, what you don't like to do, what you need to let go of, what you need to get better at, what you need to incorporate, all those things. So appreciate those plateaus, because those are going to give you a level playing field of what's out there and what you really have to do to take your business to the next level. So it's okay. Plateaus are okay.
Thank you.
It is.
I think Alexa's microphone is indicating to us that it's time to turn things over to my amazing community member and colleague, Tiffany Gaines. She's going to take us home.
Hi, everyone. What an incredible conversation. I'm not going to keep us here any longer than we have been, but just want to shout out each of you, Lex, Aitina, Chad, Julia. You know I love and respect all of you dearly, and I'm just so proud of the things that you're doing here in our community. And I think that you all touched on so many important topics as far as both the tangible and intangible purpose and function of art in our communities, right? It's about healing, it's about connection, it's about support, but it's also about investment. I think what you've said about art being, an ecosystem essential to our economy, essential to our businesses, our culture, all of these things are linked. And I just am so grateful that you guys said the quiet part out loud, that we have to talk about the intersections of art and business and commerce and have those uncomfortable conversations so that we can continue to push the needle in how we're supporting our arts and cultural communities and how we're supporting our artists, how we're supporting our cultural institutions. We have to come together as a community to give that support, whether it's through time, whether it's through investing in supporting the youth, whether it's through money and dollars. The only way that the cultural ecosystem that we have here is going to continue to thrive is if we pour into it together. And so with that, my call to action for all of you guys here is to continue to be engaged with all of these incredible creatives. Connect with them, talk to them. We have snacks and drinks upstairs that are probably cold. Please go upstairs, enjoy some, talk to these creatives, talk to each other, figure out how to work together, how to support each other. Think about supporting the Burchfield and joining as a member. I want to shout out our membership associate, Miggy Wong, in the back. If you have questions about memberships or are interested in signing up, please talk to Miggy, stop at the front desk. I think we're doing a promotion tonight, so you get a nice little discount if you sign up for a membership tonight. And just continue to support your local artists. I think somebody said it, I think Chandra, you said it, as fellow artists, as fellow creatives, it's so important to support each other and not look for it just from the big businesses, from the people that are quick to say no. We have to come together and support each other. And so I hope that you all will continue to do that. Stay in touch, follow what all of these incredible people are doing, follow what we're doing here, and go upstairs, enjoy some refreshments, walk through the galleries, and thank you all so much for being here and for coming out tonight.
Thank you.